WarsawJS.
And now we are live. So welcome everyone to come to WarsawJS Meetup number 94. And now we are live, and everybody please take seats. And my name is Wenyao Lin. I will be the lady of ceremony today. And now is the introduction for our organizing team. So thank you, Piotr and Tara. And Gabriela Chuha. And Maciej Machniewski for organizing. Thank you for organizing such wonderful meetups. And we have our tech team right there. Pavel Rechnio, welcome. And Luisa Haas. And thank you for volunteers. For today, we have Anna Lukianova. We have Konrad Dziekonski. Grzegorz Markowski, who is right there, and Jacek Rojek. Who is here for the first time? Please raise your hand. Oh, quite a lot. So welcome to join here. In case you don't know yet, WarsawJS Meetup is a place where programmers, or if you want to be a programmer for JavaScript, and in here you can make friends and learn new things. And in this meetups, we will be following Berlin Code of Conduct, which is we will participate in an authentic and active way. We will exercise consideration and respect in our speech and actions. And we will refrain from demeaning, discriminatory, or harassing behavior and speech. And now we have 5,987 members. Thank you all for joining. And the sponsors of today's event are CoreStack, Daft Code, Evolution, Fresha, PackHelp, Prisma, Sumo Logic, and Xfang. And if you want to get 100% discount for a JetBrains license for a year, you can come up here and give a 5-minute lightning talk that will be scheduled after our speakers. And the speakers for today are, first one, Michał Warda. He will be talking about purposely failing. And our second speaker of today will be Marcin Kraszewski. He will be sharing his experience in take action to protect your attention and focus. And our third speaker of today will be Victoria Umanska. We'll be talking about technologies boosting humanitarian aid. And now let's begin. Our first lightning talk will be Mikołaj from PackHelp. Welcome.
Thank you. Can I have a clicker? All right. Thank you. Work. All right, it does. Nope, nope, nope. Up. All right. Hi there, I'm Mikołaj. I work here at PackHelp, and at PackHelp we produce hassle-free packaging for our clients. And what I do here at PackHelp, I take care of our online editor. And basically what you do is you design your packaging online. Does the video work? Sorry about that, video doesn't work. But basically what you do, you design the packaging online in the video editor, you hit the buy button, and in a couple of weeks, the packaging arrives. And there's one experience working here. I wanted to share that when you work on something that produces into something physical and real, it's a very interesting experience. And tonight I want to share another experience with you that also is quite magical for me. I want to tell you a story of a photon, about light and video. Oh, this editor, right? Now it works. All right, please participate with me. Imagine a sunny day, you're on the beach or in the park, and maybe even close your eyes and think about like the light, the trees, the grass, the water, and now think about the sun somewhere in space that sends light to Earth, that travels those waves and photons that travel to space. Then they reach you, your place, park, or a beach, and then they hit clouds, water, trees, grass, and they reflect, bounce back into your eyeballs. And this is how we see, right? This is magic that this light, those waves, they bounce back. And for example, you take out the phone and you want to record the video and send it to your friend. Then those light waves, those photons, they travel through the lens of your phone. Then they hit the image sensor. They hit the pixel in the image sensor. And those photons, they hit electrons that trigger a microvoltage, a measurable microvoltage that we can convert into ones and zeros and produce an image. And you repeat that process 30 times a second, you get a video, right? And there is something magical about this, that we can convert light, then store this dance of light as a file, then send it to our friend, then he takes out his phone or her phone, hits the play button, and the screen emits light in the same choreographical dance, and it was like the one you've captured. And I wanted to share with you some ideas how this process works behind the curtains. And yeah, this is the journey I want to tell you about. So now a quiz time. Okay, quiz time. Who remembers files like that? All right. MP3s, VNAP, good old vibes. Great. So now, do you know any of those terms? Have you seen them? Have you on some labels? Raise your hands. All right. Some video experts here. More terms. All right. Do you think you know some of those terms, or have seen them, or have a faint idea? Right, fewer hands. All right, let's go further. Let's go. All right. Yeah, the clicker. Yeah, do you know any of those terms, you think? All right, good. So I want to shed you some light about some of those terms. So let's start with MP3. Do you know what MP3 stands for really? All right, one hand, two. Okay, what does it stand for? Yes, exactly. So MP3 is basically MPEG-3. And do we know what MPEG is? What MPEG means? And they even have a logo. Yes, exactly. So MPEG is an organization that basically creates standards. And if you think about it, they're less like engineers and programmers and more like lawyers who can create and draft standards. So this is their logo. It's one of the most organized body in the industry. So it's a moving pictures expert group. And so what I want to take you out, the video is just moving pictures. And one of the interesting things about video, is that if we take this random wallpaper, Full HD wallpaper, just download it from the internet, it's 340 kilobytes. And if you do the math, okay, clicker works. So at a frame rate of 30 images per second, 30 pictures per second, and that would amount to something around 10 megabytes of data per second. And for a 2-hour movie, that would be roughly 70 gigabytes. But the files we download, movies we download from the internet, legally from BitTorrent or something like that, are around 2 gigabytes. So this gives us something around 97 compression ratio, like pretty impressive. How do they do that? And it's interesting. All right. So I want to tell you what's an encoder and some of those terms. What's like encoding, decoding, H.264, many others like that. So encoding is basically compression. It's like encoding, compress, decode, decompress. So all those H.264s are compression algorithms. So how compression works? Basically simple. For example, we have a string like AABB 15 bytes. You think out some format, how you can like compress it in a lossless way, and you have less strings. So you can just write a function that accepts strings, like simple stuff, compress and decompress. So the job of an encoder is to find a way how to maximally efficiently compress all those pictures. So if you imagine a video, it's picture, 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 picture. You take all those pictures, find out a way how to compress it in the most efficient way, and this is how you compress them. And basically, encoder sees your video like that. It chops the video and the pictures into areas. Then he tries to figure out the areas that move and that don't. Remember, moving pictures. But some parts of the pictures, the picture of a video, they don't move. And then they basically and basically you do this. They store the same pictures in a more efficient data format. So all the encoding, decoding is basically compression and decompression, and the real like compression ratio of like raw image data is 99.97%. If you really like decompress the file into like raw bitmap, it's gonna be terabytes per hour. So a part of this, all this video magic is things like encoding, H.264, H.265, HEVC, VP9, AV1, VP9, VP10, VP11 are just basically compression algorithms. So so you take out from this short presentation, the next time you see all those terms, you might at least know what MPEG stands for, what MP3 really means, what MP4 means, and what some of those terms mean. So this is really interesting how we can have something magical, like capturing light into device, and then create very special and unique ways how we can actually make this magic happen. This is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have questions? Just a second.
Could you explain what's the difference between H264 and 65?
As far as I remember, like 264 is like a 2003 compression algorithm format, and 265 is in like newer version of it, because our computers and CPUs got much faster, and we can create more CPU-intensive algorithms to compress and decompress video. So this is basically a newer version of algorithm that parses the file and applies different other optimizations that were not really possible like 20 years ago. Any more?
Thank you very much. It
Thank
seems
you.
like everything is clear. Thank you, Mikołaj. Now let's welcome our speaker, Michał Warda.
I'll take the package from here. Thanks. Thanks, Backhelp, for the beautiful space. Okay. Oh, I need the HDMI input, I think. Okay. Okay. Just let's check. Not gonna lie, don't have much time. Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So, hello everyone. It's very cool to see so many people in person. My last few presentations were mostly virtual, so it's very cool to see such a huge crowd. I don't have much time, and we have a lot of topics to cover, so I'll be very swift. I'll be coding in TypeScript and using Jest. So if any of you have any questions for the language, anything essentially, hit me up later. You can use the typical WarsawJS methods. I'm not sure to the people online what are those, but you can ask questions. And one more thing is that this presentation is heavily inspired by a blog post that is incoming in the future by my colleague who is also here. So if you have any questions, want to read later a summary of this, but in a text version, then it should be at our blog post. So I'm Michał Warda, and I'm the CTO at Elpassion. And my presentation topic today is purposely failing. So I'll be mostly talking about TDD and BDD, mostly even coding about TDD and BDD, because we don't have much time for talking. Everyone knows that programming is about programming. So I'm going to start with writing a very simple program. This program is called FizzBuzz. If you ever did TDD, probably the first program you wrote or found online is FizzBuzz. The rules are pretty simple. It's a children's game, but codified. Write a program that for a specified positive integer n returns a table of length n with string matching rules. For every number that is not divisible by 3 or 5, return the index value. For 3, return fizz. Divisible by 3, return fizz. 5, buzz. And 3 and 5, return fizzbuzz. If you pass in an incorrect number, for example, a negative integer, then a incorrect size error should be thrown. So an example of this is if we send fizzbuzz of 16, then the output is an array with correct values. So it's time for the demo. I hope everything will work correctly. Okay, so all of my code will be done in TypeScript and using at least TDD. So let's pray that everything works correctly. So I'll start my FizzBuzz implementation by covering the edge cases. So first, I'll say that when I pass a 0, so FizzBuzz returns empty table for 0. So essentially, if I call a function FizzBuzz with size 0, then I expect that the value of it to equal empty array. I've already created a file with this function. I'm not gonna lie, it's empty. So if we do it this way, I have my test runner here. So if I launch those tests, then beautiful. We have those working. The first test passes. Now I would commit, etc., but I don't have time for that. I need to code further. So let's cover the other edge case. So throws an error when a negative number is passed. So I'll expect that when I call fizzbuzz with -1, it should throw an error, incorrect number error. I'll launch the tests. Yes. Okay, we have an error. So it's time to implement it. Obviously, if size is less than 0, throw new error, incorrect number. Okay. I rerun the specs. Okay, everything is working. Again, commit, and let's further develop. So the next test is let's try to maybe do something about with this fizzbuzz. I'll for returns array with 1 item when passing 1, and then I expect that fizzbuzz from 1 should equal an array with 1. I'll launch the tests. Should fail. Yes, it failed. So here, rather than doing a simple array here, I'll create a new array, and the length will be the size that I'm passing. And for each item in this array, I'll take the item, which is not required here, and I'll take the index. And I'll return index +1. Essentially, error, sorry. Anyone sees it? One more. Oh, yeah. Thank you. To keep it consistent with the text, I always return a string. Okay, so we have the second thing covered. So we've implemented that 1 returns 1. The next thing probably would be to handle at least 3. So returns array with 3 items and fizz instead of 3 when passing 3. Okay, I'm writing casing because it's easier to always write it rather than forget about it. 2 equal, and we need 1, 2, and 3. I'll rerun the tests. Oh yeah, it shouldn't be this, it should be fizz, obviously. Okay, and it failed. So right now I should cover this, that add braces. I'll do an if statement here. If index +1 is divided by 3 is equal 0, return fizz. Index, no. Index +1. And this, and right now. Okay, 3 is covered. So now let's do 5. And doing 5, we don't have much time. I'll do 4, which is not divisible, and buzz. And now I need to pass 5. I rerun the specs. Obviously, it will not work. So I also check that if the index +1 is divisible by 5, then I return buzz. Okay. No, the tests didn't run. Or think. And okay, we have fizzbuzz working. The last thing is obviously to cover the 15, which if we'll cover the 15, we'll also have all the different cases. essentially, the first number that is divisible by both 3 and 5 is 15. And all the numbers that are divisible by 3 and 5 are divisible by the multiplication of those numbers. So essentially, we are checking if it's divisible by 15. And I'll do the same thing. I'll do the same thing here with 15 items. And FizzBuzz, here was buzz. Sorry. And FizzBuzz instead of 15 when passing. And I'll do this like this. So now is the hard part. Fizz here, then 7, then 8, then Fizz again, then Buzz. Oh, then 11, then Fizz, which is then 13, then 14, then FizzBuzz. Check it. Should fail at FizzBuzz. Yes, because wrote Fizz. So to do it correctly, I need to divide by 15, check if it's divisible by 15, and return FizzBuzz. And many of you, which have already done this task, might find it odd that this is the method that I'm using. Don't worry, I know it. So we've covered essentially the whole FizzBuzz. Again, maybe non-integers, if we pass non-integers to this function, will fail. But other than that, we've covered the whole FizzBuzz. So we have it ready. So let's move to a harder example. The other one is Game of Life, which I'll also try to code. And Game of Life, does anyone know Game of Life here? Yeah, some of you. Game of Life is a program that, the simplified version for you, is a program that takes a 2D array board filled with cells, ones or zeros. 1 means a cell is alive, 0 a cell is dead. And there are essentially 3 rules. A living cell with 2 living neighbors survives, a cell with 3 living neighbors survives or revives, and all other cells die or stay dead. Essentially, you can look at it right here. Every tick, we have an array of items, and in the next tick, we check the state after it. So this cell has 1 neighbor, so it should die. Yes, it died. This cell has 1 neighbor, so it should die. Yes, it died. And all of the other rules apply. So right now, I'll implement Game of Life in TDD the same way I did with FizzBuzz. So Game of Life is a much harder topic than FizzBuzz, but let's try to do it. So first, my goal is to check that if I pass an probably empty state, so we'll work on 2D table with 3 items lengthwise and 3 items heightwise. So if I pass an empty board, then we should get an empty board back. Returns empty board after passing empty board. So if I run Game of Life with, I expect that when I run Game of Life with 0, 0, 0, don't worry, it will format in a second and it will look. If I run this code, I expect it to return the same board. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0, 0. So if I run this, then I should get back the same board. Maybe not the same board, but a different board, or maybe the same board, whatever. It should look like this. Okay, I have 2 compilation errors. Now is it working? Yes, it's failing. Perfect. So it's failing because I didn't implement it. I'll just return the board. It looks the same, so I'll just return it. Okay, works, beautiful. So now the next step is obviously to add another thing to it. And I'll do it, I'll pass a 1 here, for example, or maybe to simplify it for now, I'll pass a 1 here. And the boards should still be all zeros, because this one does not have 2 or 3 neighbors, so it should die. So the output should be zeros, and the output, I only launched 1 spec, sorry. What? 1 second. Orange board. I'll launch maybe only this spec. Sorry. Come on. What's happening? Oh, it has the same name. Sorry. Returns empty board after passing board with only 1 cell. Okay. Now it should work. Now it should work. Yes. Yes, it's failing. So the answer here, the simplest TDD way of doing it is to just return an empty board. But soon enough, and this is the whole point of this this presentation, is that we'll hit a wall by doing it this way. And this wall will be hit very, very, very quickly, as you can see, because the next step is to implement at least a tiny bit of logic here that tells the game of life how to do it. And for example, in game of life, when you have a board like this, then after you should get a board like this. It's called a cross, and the cross just changes from this to this, from this to this, from this to this. It's a perpetual motion. And if we run all of our specs, please work. Again, the name, cross works. I don't have much time, so don't worry about the naming. No, I've changed the wrong spec. Here, cross works. Then it obviously does not work because I return a table with zeros. And here is the moment that that is very tough for many programmers, especially those who don't code with using TDD or BDD. It's that when we stumble upon a wall that is immovable and it's too hard to write, because essentially the next part of trying to fill in this requirement would require at least, I don't know, 10 minutes from me to fill in one of those, to solve this one test. In my version 0 of the presentation, I fail, but we don't have enough time here to see me fail. So, we need to split this test into other tests. So it doesn't mean that this test is wrong, but it means that we need a deeper understanding of the problem, and we need to split the problem into smaller ones to be able to solve this this problem. And when we write a test that we know is failing, and we know it's good, and we want to use it in the future, but we know that we cannot currently use it, we can add a new feature that was introduced in JS 28.1. It's called failing, which means that it's different from skip. Skip just does not run the code that is here. Failing runs the code that is here, but if a test fails, it passes. If a test passes, it fails. And don't overuse it. It's not for the purpose that if you have a test that you never wanna, if you wanna you want it to stop failing, then you just add failing. It's for the purpose of a situation like this when you add it when you write a test and then implementation and the implementation of the test, and then you know you need to make smaller steps to achieve the goal. So what are our steps to achieve the goal? First, in TDD, we need to move a step back. So essentially, if you stumble upon a problem like this, it means you're already way too far. You should refactor, usually. And the first refactor that I'll introduce here is I'll introduce a function. I'll introduce a function called goal cell. And this will take a board, which is the same thing, and it will take two coordinates, an x and a y. And I'll return a 0 for now here. And here, for the board, I'll map, I'll do a row and a y, or even I don't need a row, sorry. I'll do a y here. Oh, I need a row, but I don't need it. Like this. And for every row, I'll map and do a column. And do an x. So, all and an x. And for each one of those, I'll call a function goal cell, which I'll pass a board to, and the x and the y. My tests should still pass, fail. One of those failed, but I've marked it as failing. And now, it means that I can test this part without testing this part. So essentially, I can implement a logic of how one cell will behave rather than trying to implement the logic of the whole program at once. So I can write a test for a goal cell that if a cell has returns one for each. No, sorry, I'll look at the rules. A living cell with two living neighbors survives. So returns 1 if two living neighbors are present. So rather than doing that part, I'll expect that the goal cell from board. I need to pass the board. So I'll create one very simple one. So from the perspective of cell, a returns 1 if two living neighbors are present. So this cell should survive. So I'll pass coordinates 1 and 1. And this board, so I'm saying that this cell should survive, and I'm checking it by running 2b1. Obviously, it will not be 1 because it's 0. It's implemented as 0. So somehow, right here, I need to check how many neighbors are there, and somehow I need to specify that if there are 2 neighbors, then return 1. Unfortunately, I don't have the algorithm of finding the neighbors yet. I can have an algorithm of if there are 2 neighbors, then I should return 1. So I'll do it this way. If there are 2 neighbors, or maybe not, it means that, again, I need to go deeper. It means that this spec should be a failing spec, because I cannot finish it in like a minute or 2. First thing I should come up with is a thing that returns the number of alive neighbors. So returns amount of alive neighbors, returns 0 alive when 0 alive. So I can do from the perspective of cell goal cell goal living neighbors. Neighbors. Time running out of time very quickly. What's the time? Out of time? No. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Can I have 2 minutes? Piotr is on his phone, so I can have 2 minutes. So I'll do it very quickly right here. So the algorithm to find neighbors is, and I'll use my... Sorry, don't have that amount of time here. So essentially the algorithm to find alive neighbors is this. We take the board and we just take all of the neighbors, so essentially 8 cells that are around us, and we can do it as by coordinates, and we just filter the alive neighbors. The tests that we need for this to happen are those. I'm gonna... Oh, shoot. This didn't go well. So the tests that we need for it to work are essentially that if there is an empty board and we specify it should return 0, if there is one alive neighbor, from the perspective of this one, we should return 1, and if there is a non-existent, from the perspective of this one, if we're out of bounds, we should still treat those as correct neighbors, as essentially dead neighbors. And the algorithm to that is here. It would take around 5 minutes to implement it, and then we can use it in the goal cell, obviously, this algorithm, to check that if there are if there is a one alive, if the state is 1 and there are 2 alive neighbors, then we should return 1, and if there are 3, then we should return 1, and if there are none or any other number, then we should return a 0. And if I run this code, I think it should work, but you didn't see how I wrote it. 20 minutes is not enough to do it. Okay, it works. And essentially the crucial step here was, oh, no, it wasn't this code. I can still do it. So the crucial step here was that if you wrote this super duper code and it was failing, you've marked it as failing previously, and you... Please? Yes. If you've marked it as failing, then it just would throw an error. So the failing test passed even though it was supposed to fail. Remove failing to remove the error. You remove the error and you run the test again and you get it. So to sum up, in testing, if you stumble upon a test and the implementation would take you more than 5 minutes, you're writing a bad test. So essentially, maybe sometimes you write a bad test, sometimes you write a test that you should write in the future, but not right now. And also, if you stumble upon a test that you know is correct, but you cannot find time to implement it yet, then you can use the new just failing feature. And that's all. Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Please. Man in the yellow shirt.
It's lime.
Oh, lime. Sorry. Very yellow
Okay, so
lime.
you told us about TDD, test-driven development.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about your opinion on DDT, which is development-driven test.
DDT?
DDT, yes, all the way around. You first write the implementation and then, oh shit, tests.
Okay. I mean, it's incorrect, but I want to make a joke out of it, but I cannot come up with anything. So essentially, it's impossible. Writing tests first will change the design of your code, for sure. It's impossible to write. It's much harder to write bad code when writing tests first. It's much easier to write good code when writing tests first. And also, it's much easier to write good tests when you know what you're writing. This FizzBuzz thing also had a next step. So if you had this code running, then FizzBuzz, those tests that we wrote also weren't good tests at first, because our tests were checking a lot of things. In FizzBuzz, we also should have split the code into another function that was essentially checking that the divisibility works and that correct numbers are printed for everything. If we didn't write tests first, I wouldn't come up with an idea to even try to split this code into two parts. But the fact that I had tests made it much cleaner, essentially this part. So my opinion is that I don't want to scare people from talking to me, but I think that we only can write tests first. Like, I had a boot camp, and my boot campers hated me because they are sitting there, so they don't hate me that much. Yeah, they still hate me because I told them to write everything in TDD, but they love me now. Yeah, thanks to that. So it's the only option for me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions?
It's like everything's clear and only
I
true
don't think so.
warriors have the guts to do live coding. So thank you one more time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And let's welcome our next speaker, Marcin Kraszewski. Okay, so, okay, yeah. I will talk about radio.
Hello. Hey, listen guys, just a very short lightning talk because we need some time. So I just wanted to say that in WarsawJS we actually asked for an internship 2 years ago, and there was one developer that took the opportunity to exercise his coding skills. He didn't have any experience, so he was very interested in helping the community as a volunteer to learn how to code in CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. And it was actually Konrad Dziekoński. I hope, Konrad, you can see me now at the streaming, because you're now in Łódź, I know. So it was an amazing experience for us. So thank you very much, Konrad, for helping with the Confront.js website and the WarsawJS website and many others. And because of that, Konrad gained some experience, and he is now a junior front-end developer at Xfang. So we are very happy that it worked well. And I'm just saying this because it works like this. So if you want to get some experience on a real life website and to learn how to code in JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, you can write to us a message that you're looking for an internship. And you can also volunteer at the WarsawJS website, so you can have some first open source commits and have some first experience. So just wanted to share this, that there is an opportunity like this. So just that's what I wanted to say. So thank you very much for listening.
Okay, let me just set up. I got to set up the slides here.
I just plug this in. Or...
Okay, so there will be also a charger needed. So yeah, technical break. There is also beer in the fridge, and water, coffee. So thank you very much, Pack Help, for that. And yes, do we have some important information? Yeah, WarsawJS is obviously always on the second Wednesday. So the next one is on 10th of August. So you're also all invited. And if you want to join us, then please fill the form at Evenea. You can do it even today. We will share the link to the website, and you will see. Okay.
Thank you. All right, so I'm plugged in. I got power. Hope, I think. Good, good, good. There? Okay. Thank you. Okay, real quick here. Try. Okay, so this is my name. So this is what I go by. This is what my parents gave me, so I didn't really have a choice. I could probably change it, but I don't like paperwork. I really hate paperwork, so like taxes and all that stuff, I just really save it for the last minute. So I'm just going to keep the name the way it is. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm afraid I have a lot of followers, but I think they're all zombies. Because sometimes I post something interesting, at least kind of interesting or whatever, and like zero interaction. So they must be zombies. But better to have zombies than nothing, I guess. Anyway, so let's continue. And I'm trying to use this too. I think the clicker's not connected, so I'll just use my little arrows here. Okay, so this general idea here is, and I gave like a lightning talk before, and somebody encouraged me to make this a longer talk. That's what I did. We all use technology on a regular basis. I use it all the time. I use still a lot of the technology that I use is not mobile, it's desktop. So I'm from that era. I know a lot of people are pretty much running their entire business on their smart device, just walking around on the beach in somewhere. Apparently that's all you do, just click a couple buttons on the beach on your smartphone and you're a startup founder. So. But I do use a desktop browser, and in a desktop browser, there's some extra sort of power that we have that we can start to fight some of these forces that are existing in our browser, which are developed by very talented, very skilled people. But the whole purpose, really, in a lot of places and a lot of times, is to kind of suck that money out of your pocket. So. And your attention and all this other stuff, and it's addicting, and there's all this kind of bad stuff around it. So what I was thinking to myself was, what can we do, like as individuals, like as a self-defense against really effective marketing and other sort of dark patterns and things like that? I wish I could do a whole talk about dark patterns, but I'm not an expert on it. But to really quickly get into it, it's just essentially a way that people design the user experience to sort of get you to do what they want you to do. So even if you want to go and buy a pound of tomatoes, right, a kilo of tomatoes, that's what you want to do. They're going to try to sell you an airline ticket. They're going to try to say, maybe you'd like some bubble gum. Maybe you'd like a little movie pass. Maybe you'd like upgrade those tomatoes to a small 2-bedroom apartment in New York. How about that? How about that little right down there? So we're not just talking about ad blocking, though. We're talking about stuff that's a little bit more close to the bone of the soul of the person, which is stuff that kind of looks like content, looks innocent enough, but it's just an article that is, at the end of the day, it's really just selling you something as well. So it's like content marketing. So it's like all over the place. We're just completely surrounded by this. And again, I'm, preaching to the choir here. Obviously, we're all very in favor of this idea here. So the original inspiration for this, I'm sure a lot of people use Twitter. I use it kind of a lot. I'm playing a game, actually, just real quick, I'll tell you, I'm playing a game on Twitter right now. It's called, Can I Get Elon Musk to Respond to One of My Tweets? So far, I have not successfully won this game. It's really a 0-1 sort of a binary game. So you either have won it, and you can stop playing, or you haven't won it. And I'm afraid I still haven't won it, so I'm trying. But one thing I like about Twitter is they've got this feature, you've probably seen this, I'm sure. It allows you to pretty much mute anytime somebody uses a word you don't like. So like, let's say technology or something just irritates you, Kubernetes, like something that you just can't stand hearing about. JavaScript, some people, right? What this does is throughout the entire site, as far as I understand this is how this works, is you will just not see that content. You just won't see it. So what I use this for, sometimes there's things on Twitter that sort of appear in like a huge storm of activity. Like, for example, I don't know, somebody will say like, has anyone had this experience? Were you like at a cafe and something, something, something? So I'm just like, has anyone had this experience? And I just don't see any of those posts. So if you're using has anyone had that experience, I probably won't see any of your content. So this got me thinking a little bit. I was like, that's kind of cool in a certain way. Like it allows me to kind of, define what I want to be exposed to, right? But it's on Twitter, and I'm sure it's on a lot of other places. But from my perspective, it's on Twitter. It's most easiest to approach there. So Chrome extensions is really what we're talking about here in a very, very basic, simple way. What Chrome extensions allow you to do, or browser extensions in general, and this is an old topic again, is it allows you personally to interact directly with that content that's been created by those professionals and kind of say, yeah, actually, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to see that. I want to change this. I want to change this. I want to do whatever I want to do because it's my browser in my computer, so you can't mess with me there. Now, the problem is, of course, with mobile devices, what's so great about them is when you have that mobile app, the app developers have you locked in, right? There's not, what are you going to do with a mobile app? You're going to do an extension to what? You can't do this stuff. This is why I like browsers. I hope browsers stay around for a while. So this is sort of the process that I go through when I'm creating an extension. First of all, you want to identify problems. So the problem isn't Netflix itself, perhaps, although their content has been kind of declining in quality lately. But the problem I identified was very often I'll start watching something on Netflix and then realize it's horrible. And then I'll go to something else and it just continues like for an entire day. I'm just like, there's nothing left here. So what I want to do is actually, I just want to see the good stuff. And then when there's no more good stuff, I just want to end my membership. Boom, there we go, profits through the ceiling for that company. So first of all, you do a manual approach. So there's this site called Rotten Tomatoes. It's, I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's bad, but I use it, it's my metric. So I go to Rotten Tomatoes and I say, okay, that movie sucks. So I don't want to watch it. So I'm going to take action, right? I'm not going to watch Along Came a Spider. Flight doesn't even have a rating on there for some reason. I'll watch Collateral. I've seen it. It's pretty good. You know, it's good some action. So that's what I want to be doing. So then we want to brainstorm some kind of an automation solution. So really simple. The user visits the site. We get some rankings of movies via an API, I guess. Modify the CSS to hide low-ranking content. So this is like super simple approach here. If the movie is in the list, and in the list it says it's a bad movie, just don't show it, and you can keep scrolling, okay? And I hit the next button. Just everybody calm down here, please. Okay, right. So one thing you want to do, again, this is for beginners, I think, really, because you advanced people out there are going to be just like, yeah, right, I'm going to do this totally differently. But this is how I do it. I go in the source. You just do a Control-Shift-I. That'll bring up the little developer toolbar here, whatever it's called. And this is all that cool code that's behind that they don't want you to see. They don't want you to see the secrets back there, right? And so these are divs. We can get into that some other day. But here you got your area label, or Araya, or whatever, I don't care. Well, Araya label, let's call it that. Like Araya Carey, right? Okay, so this is Dave Chappelle. What's in a name? So that's over here. That corresponds with this right there. And so that's that element that corresponds with that movie. So I can start looking at that and thinking, okay, how can I interact with this? What can I do here? So the first thing I do is I write some really advanced JavaScript here. And probably a lot of bad practices in this talk, so just don't worry about it. Tell me later. Thumbnails equals document query selector all. And what I'm trying to do here is do some crazy magic here with wildcards, but I'm confusing, I think, Python and JavaScript. So that results in a node list, which is totally empty. An empty node list, which means I have no elements, which means this isn't going to work. So I have to Google. I have to Google the answer. I go and oh, that's what I'm missing, the little caret, I guess. I'm missing that, okay. And I was like, oh, man. Okay, so I missed the caret, so I put the caret in there. Whoa, look at that. I get a bunch of thumbnails right there, all the thumbnails I want. So I updated my code. I added a little caret there that lets me get all the stuff that's called title card. And so now I'm thinking, okay, I've got a bunch of movies. What do I want to do? So for every movie thumbnail, pass movie title to a function that returns 0 or 1. So 0 if a movie is low rated, less than 50%. 1 if a movie is highly rated, greater than 50%. Yeah, sounds great. Okay. So here's the problem with this idea. I don't have an API. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to manually copy just enough data from a movie review site to be able to demo a solution. And I'm going to write a function like this. Again, horrible, don't write code like this, but make believe that this is your little database, and it's got your movie ratings, you got your movie title, you got your rating, and this function is beyond belief. It's really simple here, and probably horrible, but anyway, function get rank, you got your thumbnail, which is that element, and then it's going to get the movie title, the movie rank, it's going to return the movie rank, and then you're going to be able to act on that and hide or do whatever you want. So the idea is that you have Netflix, but you just don't see the stuff that you don't probably want to see, okay? The reason I do it like this, a lot of people say, at the last of the lightning talk, like, why do you hide it? Why don't you do something nice and beautiful and, make it look like just have the elements slide over? Because I don't want you to be ignorant. I want you to know, like, Netflix really sucks today. Half the screen is hidden. What's going on here? Netflix, buddy. Maybe I should cancel my thing. Thank you. So it gives you some feedback. That movie was 32%, so it was slashed. So what you want to do next is you want to go ahead and convert that puppy into an extension. First of all, create a manifest. You have to create a manifest. It's just pretty much you can copy paste this like crazy. The key part here is though you want to have a script.js file. So basically that's just the little snippets of code that we had before. You want to add that there to your JavaScript. To your manifest.js. Next thing you do, all you do to have your Chrome extension is you just load unpacked and you select where your extension is, where your JSON, your manifest JSON is. Okay. Your extension is now visible. And using this little toggle, this little cute little toggle right here, you can turn it off, right? If you're like, this code is horrible, oh my God, Marcin wrote it, it's terrible, it's making my computer crash, it's probably mining coins or something, just disable it, it's fine. And of course, the next step is after that, share your extension. Let other people's computers crash if you want. This is what I got there. So here are some ideas, use cases that I've kind of come up with. Some of these have been created in like 20 lines of JavaScript, some have not. YouTube, keyword filtering. So this one has been created. You can get this on my GitHub. So basically, it does the same thing for Netflix except for YouTube. There's certain things on YouTube where it's like, make money the cool way, or how to sell a pigeon, or like stuff like, guys, I don't care, really. So that stuff gets hidden away. Google search, URL filtering. You guys are probably saying, well, what's going on? Well, for example, like let's say there's a certain website that anytime you're looking for anything related to programming, that website pops up. They've got articles for every single question you could have. I'm not talking about Stack Overflow. I'm talking about some of the sites that are just really obnoxious and they're always in your results. And frankly, you don't want to see that. So you just do some URL filtering, for example, on Google search. I found that pretty helpful. It just kind of helps me along. It makes my search more efficient. Netflix removing bad movies. LinkedIn. So this is going to be probably requiring some sort of machine learning, maybe some little simple machine learning algorithm here. Because what I want to do is I want to hide annoying topics. It's kind of a very generic idea. What are annoying topics? So it's something where I'd have to probably train this model and say, that's annoying, that's annoying, that's annoying, that's annoying. And you have some of these features already built into some sites, but again, the idea here is that you get to decide what you think is annoying, not what LinkedIn algorithm thinks is annoying. And even if LinkedIn had that, they'd be like, oh, but just take a look at this airplane ticket article. Just take a look at it. Scammy posts. So if you're on any Facebook groups, all the time there's a post like this, like, seriously, guys? Or they're like looking for somebody to sell pizza for $50 an hour, and they're talking about dollars. They're in Poland. I'm like, what are we talking about? So just hide those. If you use CNN or Fox News or any portal at all, maybe there's something like about, I don't know, Donald Trump, and you're just kind of, you're just sick of hearing of Donald Trump. And you don't want to hear about Donald Trump anymore. So it'll just hide all the Donald Trump stuff, and you won't see it. Yes, I know, there's some bad things to this. Real estate portals, this is an ad blocker, but again, this is like you're looking for a house, and you don't really want a 35-room mansion. You don't need to see that because you're not looking for that. You're not in the market for it. Let's just not waste those clicks. And then this one I created is really simple. It just, again, does what the Twitter blocker does. It just hides posts that are obnoxious. Sometimes Reddit has just, in these waves, they have these posts that just are all over the place, happening over and over, and you're like, I don't really want to see that. I've got other stuff to do. That's my final slide. I don't have any other slides for this next real kind of thing that I want to talk about, which is you know, there is obviously a dark side to this, right? We can talk about the dark evil side of making Chrome extensions, which is that I'm creating a bubble. I'm creating a bubble, and I'm going to live inside that bubble, and I'll be happy inside that bubble, and then people will be like, you know, hey, Marcin, what's going on, man? Didn't you know, like, there's COVID-27, and, you know, the aliens landed, and, like Mars is totally half colonized? Like, what? Oh, dude, I keyword bought COVID and Mars, and I didn't know that was happening. I was just in my cave, and, you know, I didn't know, just kind of in my cave doing my cave art and JavaScript and stuff, and nobody knew what was happening. So I think there's a big downside to this, but the big upside is you're going to save probably thousands of hours of doom scrolling. It really cuts down on the doom scrolling, because I think with doom scrolling, where that happens, why does that happen? Because there's a lot of garbage that sort of sucks you in. You don't even want to look at it, but your brain can't resist. You just keep scrolling and going, and you're there for 3 hours, and your wife leaves you, and all this stuff happens. So you have to balance it out. You don't want to block all the content that's annoying to you, but you also don't want to let some random, you know, team of developers brainwash you in a sense, and empty out all your wallet and all your savings and all this stuff and make dumb decisions, or listen to like fake news or other stuff or whatever, you know. So it's kind of like, I like that browsers let us do this. I really have to do some research and figure out a way to do this for Android and for Apple, you know, to make that happen, so that any mobile app can be manipulated in this way, so that we can take some control back in our personal lives, in our digital lives. So I guess, can I have any questions? Any questions, I mean? Yeah, sorry. If there's any questions, this would be the time. Okay, question back there, thank you. Microphone? Microphone for this gentleman would be great.
Delivering it with my short legs.
Let's go back here.
Very interesting whitelisting of the content. What is your expected outcome of the content creators? What do we want to achieve with this extension?
I want people to experience the internet in a way that is more compatible with what they're sort of into, what they want. Like if you don't want to see articles about people camping, because I don't know, maybe your family was murdered while camping, right? Maybe that triggers you and you just don't want to see that. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just like, I don't want to see that. Maybe you don't eat pork, you don't want to see ads for bacon, right? So there's stuff that it's not just ad blocking, it's filtering of everything that you're exposed to, because maybe there's stuff that just, you need, I don't know, you need therapy for it, and maybe you don't want to see it every 5 minutes on your feed. But you still want to stay online, right? You want to have the, go ahead, yeah.
So, a great talk, and I have a question. You mentioned that you're worried that you might start to live in a bubble of information. Why aren't you worried that we are already living in a bubble of information? Because there's a set of algorithms that compose the feed we are looking at constantly without any extensions.
I agree. And actually, ideally what I would do, I think one of the ways to break out of some of these algorithms maybe is to do some cryptographic random selection of content, right? So like completely random, like totally random. So I found this site, I don't know if it's truly random or not, but it's called like Random YouTube. And it was like, it was really mind opening, because sure, I saw some really bad content, but then I was like, there's this weird Norwegian singer that I've never heard of, and this song, although it's super dorky, I actually kind of like it. I'm kind of a fan of this song, and then I added it to like my playlist. I'm listening to her album all the time, so I would never have even found her probably if I hadn't done that. So when I did the Random YouTube, I stayed there for a while because I was like, this is such weird, bizarre stuff, but all through the entire like spectrum of content. Spectrum, like I've never even touched parts of the universe of what's out there, right? One thing that, and why YouTube is such an important fact in this conversation is, you know, it's like 300 hours a day, or no, 300 hours an hour or something of content are uploaded to YouTube. Like it's, if you consider the amount of raw human experience that's on the entire like 15 petabyte or 100,000, I don't know how many petabytes, I don't know, zettabytes, whatever it is, of data on YouTube. And because of the algorithm, maybe you're exposed to like this little tiny bit, right? But if there was a way to randomly just grab really bizarre things from all over the place, from the search space, right? So if there was an idea that like, if I'm in the search space here, like this is what YouTube wants me to see, I want to grab stuff like over here, over here, this part, this little corner that nobody ever looks in, right? So I think that's how we should deal with all this content if we want to be free of these bubbles, is randomize all the things, right? Just give me everything that you don't know if I want it or not. Nobody knows, right? One idea to do this would, you'd have to have a couple different profiles across a couple different sites, and just grab content from all these different profiles, do different things on different profiles, randomly, of course, do random searches, do random activities, and then just push it all to you in a random way. So I think it's possible. I think we can do it. If you want to talk about that later, we can talk about that. Any other questions? Oh, wow. Okay, right here. Okay, microphone.
I have a more technical question. So have you tried updating the source code of your extension once someone installed it? So how does it work? If someone installs your extension and then you want to update it, does it automatically do it?
No. Currently, you would just have to download the latest version from.
Okay, I was like thinking, what if like many people install your extension and then you do like mining Bitcoin, you know?
No. I mean, it's all really. I mean, yeah. I guess you could do that with anything, but be careful on GitHub.
Okay.
Yeah. This could be a huge scam just to mine coins. I don't know. Look at the code. Question?
First off, thank you for this presentation. It's just amazing. I love your body language and stuff, and the do-it-yourself kind of attitude. It's amazing. I really appreciate the way you filter stuff, especially with CSS. Just hide it. That's very nice. The first question I have is, what exactly is the flow of this extension usage? Because people can find out about this extension existing. You can download it, of course. But is there some kind of input for them to actually specify what they don't want to see, or is it arbitrary from you?
No, so right now, because it's in like version 0.001, you just have to go into the script.js, and there's like just a list of keywords. You know, it's just like Facebook list of keywords, LinkedIn list of keywords. Yeah, it's super simple. But what I'm hoping is that one other person will like install it or use, or even look at it, or even after today, like be, hey, you know what you should do? You should actually do this. And I'll be like, oh, that's cool. And I'll add that and stuff. And, you know, yeah.
Right. And the second question actually has to do with, because if there was some kind of an input, as per user, per plugin user, you can decide what you want to omit completely. Wouldn't be it like very valuable data? Like, because from what I understand, these services that are trying to grab your attention, they really want to know what you don't want to see. And then you have this plugin, you close in the plugin, you just close your eyes, I don't see you, and that's fine. But in the end, you can filter the content by its keywords, but you cannot filter out intention. Because I think that what pains the most is not necessarily like specific type of kittens that you don't like, or specific cars. You don't like people trying to sell stuff to you?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
I mean, I would like to use an approach where the user could just specify like automobile advertising.
Right.
But the idea was like, I wanted to go beyond ad blockers and talk more about the larger topic of just content in general. Because if someone writes a beautiful Medium article, and actually all the result of the article is that I end up buying PyCharm, it's just an ad. It's an ad. You know? So it's not really just about ad blocking. It's about, like, again, content filtering in a sense that all of us as individuals should have the right to determine what we want to be exposed to. Just have our brain even see that image or see that text. Maybe I don't want to see that. You can't make me see it.
Of course. And it's like a per person basis. And I was thinking that in the end, if the plugin would develop and there will be people who are, notoriously using the plugin, then the companies would be like, hey, man, like, they inputted what they don't like, and we can actually make, on a platform level, the content more appealing to them. So would you consider?
I would, but I mean, I think the idea of this extension was just something that would be developed in a way that's totally just
grassroots.
grassroots, and it's not that there's no servers. I really want to minimize like the use of APIs and stuff.
Sure.
I want it to be that whatever's happening on your browser is happening on your browser. It's your script that's
yours.
running there. One of the only issues that I'm concerned about with this is just making it secure. Because right now it's totally like unsecure, it's completely wild. But like I would like to have a really secure way to filter content so that nobody would ever know what you're filtering. And you could just experience the internet as you want to experience it. And like I said, the biggest challenge for me is after this would be looking at, and I think it's impossible, but with mobile, that's kind of it's a huge wall that blocks you from being able to do this. You can't really do that. Once you're in an app like Uber app, what are you going to do? You can't do that. You can't do any of this stuff. So this is kind of one of the really great things about desktop browsing is you have a little bit more power, and I think people have kind of forgotten that. They've kind of given that away to, app developers to, oh, that's fine, I'll just use my mobile app, it's all great, but then actually you're losing a bunch of this awesome stuff that you can do behind the scenes.
Right, I completely agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's amazing, I love the presentation.
Okay, thanks.
And next up, we have Victoria Umanska.
I think Louisa was saying that there was not me right away, but I guess I am. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Victoria Umanska. I am the person who stands behind the initiative Team Ukraine Love, and also I'm the founder of the foundation Mama Vdoma. I'm going to be very specific because my topic is about technologies boosting the humanitarian aid. So first we'll have a very short intro which was made by us, and you'll get to learn about us more. And of course, afterwards we're going to talk about what we have done, what are our problems, and maybe you would like to join the team and help us tech-wise. Louisa, would you be able to turn on our small video? It's going to be just easier. Like each time we are trying to make it shorter and down to the point, there will be a tech issues, I guess. Louisa, there was someone who was willing to talk about the radio IT, so maybe if the person is still here. No, okay. Okay, I'm just wondering. The small film, yeah, like 3 minutes video. Play the video, and afterwards there is a short presentation which I've sent as well. Thank you, guys. Nope. Well, now we can hear that for sure. Look, so why don't we just turn on the presentation? And I think I can hear myself. Nevertheless, maybe I cannot see. Done? I guess I'll go and hide in the meanwhile. Can I say it one more time? Let me do the second entrance, huh? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria Umanska, and that's the second try. Thank you so much. My name is Victoria Umanska. My background is in tech and IT. However, when the war in Ukraine started, we have switched to the humanitarian aid. I will do a short introduction of our foundation, what we were doing so far, and later on I will tell you how tech was actually boosting our help, what we're still in need, and how you can join the team and join to help the world. Should it? Okay, I think. I won't be making the third entrance. I think people will like memorize me more than anyone else. Yes. It's Ola. Welcome, Ola. Stop, and then there is no sound, I guess.
The story of ordinary people doing extraordinary.
You know, maybe let's just switch to the presentation. Entrance number 3. And something is still not working. Okay, cute. I think so. Oh, yeah. Maybe you could just... Wonderful. Here we go. Entrance number 3, Victoria Umanska, Team Ukraine Love, and we are rolling. So, in short, since the war started, I'm from Ukraine. On the second day of war, we have launched the Refugee Reception Center, and where we had to place around 1,500 people. Along with that, we have been working every single day, helping and supporting people all around Warsaw. And later on, we have started an initiative together with Yes Theory, so maybe you know the bloggers, which came down to Warsaw and were filming and creating the content around, which helped us to fundraise around 800,000 euros from more than 9,000 donors. Majority of the donations were coming from the US, and I guess that was something that we were always trying to do, because Polish people were so nice and were so great. You guys were opening your houses, your hearts, and staying all together. Please do not switch my presentation just yet. Thank you. So we have, apart from that, we have delivered around 400 tons of the humanitarian aid to each and every single part of Ukraine and Poland, supported more than 10 refugee centers. And just to explain it one more time, it was all done in less than a month. And recently, from a day to day, we had 0 people, and the next day we had to manage 300 volunteers with the 3 to 4 hour shifts. It was a nightmare. It is still a nightmare, but there is hope somewhere at the very end. And one of the recent things which we started doing, we were thinking of how to make it better and smarter rather than harder. So as I've told you before, my experience was within the tech and the innovations, and the general idea behind was to start slowly digitalizing the process. Maybe let's go to the next slide. So the problems which we were facing during our work and our help are practically similar to any other organization. We had to have 2 people to manage 8 volunteers. In other words, we were spending around 20% of the human power for the pure operations only. So like, imagine yourself having a team of 300 people of volunteers which you need and you're requiring, and then additionally 20% just to cover up the operations and to manage them, to call them, to make sure they come on time, to make sure that they're coming and they are already aware of what is going to be their tasks. It's something what could have been done so easily by tech, yet such solutions do not exist. Another thing, we have fundraised almost 800,000 euros from more than 9,000 donors. What you do not know, that the donations of around 1,200 people, we had to give back to the GoFundMe campaign, because those are the purely the transactional fee and the GoFundMe fees. And you will say, hey, well, that's interesting. You know, how much more do we have to fundraise? And in tech world, are we not able to actually overcome some of the biggest struggles which are connected to the smaller transactions, even in case they're done for good? This is the problem which we are facing. And I do think that the world can get together to manage this kind of problems, and I don't like problem, this kind of opportunities in the better way than they are currently existing. Maybe let's go to the next one. Thank you. So if you will look around, you will figure out that majority of volunteers which we had, thanks to Piotr and thanks to all of you guys, those were tech people. And we would have like software developers coming and saying, give me that box, I need to move that box, like, you know, etc. Or you know, the VC world, which was literally running up and down the several stairs of our refugee centers, just trying to make sure that all people are in good hands and everything is running smoothly. From the other side, our refugee centers up to nowadays are working with papers. So in case we're accepting new refugees, we're having a paper cards where we have to write the names and give them the kind of ID, which is also paper-based. The systems are not digitalized at all, which is bad, which is not right. of course, we are also talking about the humanitarian aid and logistics. Like, you've heard that there was a lot of help given to Ukraine, but no one thought about actually connecting it to a single individual. This is a numbers, and numbers of people are accountable. You're capable of counting the people. You're capable of predicting how much of the actual humanitarian aid needs to be delivered and how much you have to fundraise for that. And in case you're capable of building the bigger, the greater system for that purpose, you're practically capable of fulfilling the greatest need of any single disaster in the world. And of course, we're talking right now only about Ukrainian crisis, but just remember that there are 16 different refugee crises in the world, all along with more than 1 billion of people who need to run away from their houses. Apart from that, we're talking about the volunteers management, the donations management, and understanding that a lot of the organizations, including the biggest one, which you know, for example, Red Cross or UN, they're collecting the donations and they're not dropping down those funds. So normally you would count the efficiency of any NGO, like you've heard it several times, something like, we spend only 1% of our donations for the pure operations only, and the rest is supposed to go to the people and is supposed to go to the cost. But what is happening in reality? They're collecting the huge amounts of funds, they're withholding them for like 20 years, and they're spending quite a lot for the operations. But because they do not spend, the amount of the money which is sent for the operations is always very small. So the donations itself, the efficiency of the NGOs, this is another topic which you can hit. And budgeting. Budgeting itself, smart budgeting for the humanitarian aid, how to make sure that with the smallest amount of money you're capable of receiving the biggest amount of effort and actually feeding enough of the people. Those are the questions which we have to be aware that they're in the world, whether that's a tsunami, whether that's a war, whether that's another humanitarian crisis. Yeah. So just to make sure that you're like aware of the state in the world in general, and the question is why we do not have the startups which are working on the digitalization of the NGO or digitalizations of any kind of sphere, or they're like heavily, they're very bad. Majority of the people, when they're like trying to solve this problem, they're not looking at the people, at the volunteers, at the people who are actually working on the ground. They're looking at almost, guys, it's $500 billion market, which is given by the donations only. This is huge market. For the comparison, if you will look at, I don't know, the beauty industry itself is going to be only around 10 billion. So the market is over there. And normally people would just think about the donations and how to make money out of that and then building startups and building the ecosystem. And here's the question, why it's not a startup, you know? Why you cannot treat it as a startup? It's not a place where you can make your budget or your capitalization based on humanitarian crisis. So my question is to you, whether you would like to join the team to do it for free, to do it for the humanity, and actually we're looking for the developer who is going to lead it. So what we do have is a hell lot of knowledge. We have more than 50 volunteers from 24 different countries who are experiencing all kinds of crises. We have helped over here 2 Ukrainians, and I'm the one, and I'm absolutely thankful to all of you guys who is over here and who is not over here. But also, I think the next step for us will be to sharing our knowledge and spreading it around the world and working within the fast disaster management and prevention. So if you'd like to go with us pro bono, same as all of us are doing right now, feel free to join the team. And I hope we will be able to create a little bit better world. What's the next one? Yeah. This is like practically any kind of project, anything which is coming up to your mind, but this is like some of the ideas which we had brainstormed together with our team. And yeah. Guys, apart from that, as I've told you before, I've been heavily working with WarsawJS and the Warsaw tech community prior the war started, and there was one of the parties which you might have attended last year called Tequila. Who was at Tequila last year? Okay, there are some people. But practically what we're having like 300 developers each time coming together and drinking tequila shots synchronically. It was an incredible event. This time we are trying to make it also this year, specifically on the 29th of July. You're invited to come and join us all. And of course, this time, for the first time, we're going to collect the donations. It's not obligatory, but if you're willing to support us and support Ukrainian refugees, stay connected and truly hope to see you there. Thank you. I wasn't talking about the coding, but maybe there are any questions.
We have a question.
So, Victoria, can you tell us what time requirement do you have for the core developer? Do you have some
Sorry?
idea how much hours of work there are needed?
Look, we're doing this project absolutely fully pro bono. We are not, we are rather looking for the person who is dedicated towards creating something better, maybe open source, and for the greater kind of needs. We're capable potentially of fundraising later on and dedicating it as a support and the cause and showing that there is tech community behind. However, we would like to start collaborating on just, figuring out whether there is a match and the person is willing also to take the same kind of steps and has the same values as we do.
Awesome. Oh, Jakub.
Thank you. I have only great presentation and great cause.
Thanks.
I love the idea. I was wondering, because it's a rather tech environment, I was wondering how and did you already decide on the tech stack? Are you using AWS Cloud? Who actually manages this? Is every developer by themselves or?
Okay, so maybe let me go deeper into my tech world. So I'm a business person.
Right. Okay.
I have no idea what is going to be the tech stack.
Sure.
So we are having absolutely free place to run, to try, to fail. I can give you a whole list of the requirements, what things needs to be done, but have no idea, honestly.
Right. Cool. Okay, that answers my question. Again, great thing. So thanks for the presentation.
However, maybe one of the great things to learn about. There is also a company called Omdena, which is providing an AI software for the different causes. They have already agreed to work with us. If we're capable of building anything, we're having a free software AI with the number of more than, I believe, 3,000 developers available worldwide. But we need to work with basic things like management, tables.
So I guess this is the same question, but I just was wondering as far as resources. I mean, it's an important question, right? So do you have a server? Do you have you have to have these? You have to be able to answer these questions, because if somebody wants to work on your project and you're like, oh yeah, you have to pay for all the servers and stuff yourself because you're helping us out.
No, absolutely not. Maybe let me make it a bit more clear. So since the war began, we were collaborating with the top founders and top companies from the US. One of our greatest partners was Cisco board from the States. They're ready to help with any sort of needs and anything practically what we're willing to do. Another part, Google is still expecting from me the information of how do we plan to do this, because they want to go and help. Again, I'm always putting it up front that this is a free project right away. It does not mean that you will need to cover the cost of the project. This is absolutely normal that this will be on us. Apart from the $800,000 to which we have fundraised right now, we're expecting another $50,000, which will be provided for the sake of this project only. We just don't know where to hit it on, honestly. That's something where I would normally have my co-founder. So I would have Kuba, for example, from our gratis, he would take all of the decisions, based on the product development, where to put it, and budget it out. With me along, trying to run the refugee center and like down-to-earth stuff, including fundraising, I'm just not capable of providing you this information. But if there are money and funds to make it happen, for sure, no problem. That's something what we're capable of fundraising for. Sure.
I volunteered.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I don't know, are you Ukraine? From Ukraine?
Yes, I was born and grown in Ukraine, but in Polish diaspora.
Because normally from the media we know that Polish government helps a lot, and okay. So what is your priority in terms of providing the help for your citizens, for your friends? Is it food or shelter, or to get a job, or?
I mean, there are a bunch of things, and you also can go to my social media. Recently, we have returned from Bucha, where we were seeing like the boxes which were provided by the Polish government, and like thanks to the Polish government one more time. The special modular houses all around the Ukrainian northern parts. Incredible job done. As for right now, we are working on very specific and dedicated causes because it's been 6 months since the war hit. Ukraine has adjusted itself. And of course, we as people over here, we are also trying to adjust our lives. Nothing is going to be the same. There is no way to return to the things which were before, and we're readjusting. However, in terms of the current needs from my organization right now, we're about to ship 3 ambulances, which are right now located in Warsaw, and we're trying to fill those in with baby food and diapers. All of those are going to go to Mykolaiv region, which is right now heavily bombed. So in case you're feeling like buying some stuff and actually bringing it together, I can also send the information. Baby food and diapers. That's it.
You answer also the next question, that how are you sure that this help is provided to the people who needs? So as you said that you will provide the ambulances, etc.
Yeah, so look, all of our needs which we're also receiving in paper-based version, of course. We're receiving, so since the war began, we started collaborating with the Ukrainian government, including the Ministry of Health, including the Ministry of Internal Affairs, External Affairs, and Ministry of Defense. We were receiving the paper-based requests from each region, exactly what they're requesting, and those requests are updated each week. So we know what kind of humanitarian aid we need to deliver. However, no one is capable of telling us exact quantities. So we're just providing it in the best faith, Like dropping it together is like, we hope that was enough. That's it. And that's not good, right? This is something what we have to work on, but no opportunities as for right now. Nevertheless, as I'm saying, I do believe that the biggest crisis of Ukrainian war has passed, or at least is in the process, and it's going to get only better. Anyone else?
I will also ask, we know from media that the buildings are destroyed and the harvest is burned by the Russians, and I will afraid about when the winter or autumn comes, and I'm really afraid how these people will survive in this environment, this weather, because we have the strong weather, probably -10 or -20 degrees when there is the people live in the basement, or so it could be the humanitarian the catastrophe, I think.
Sure. Look, I guess over here it's also one of the newest updates, which you guys maybe don't really know about yet. Ukrainian ministry is in the process of accepting the law, which will allow every single Polish person to have the same rights as Ukrainian on the territory of Ukraine, meaning that you're capable of starting doing the business, actually being able to build houses by the territory, and have the same educational and healthcare rights. In other words, I guess in this moment we have to look at the crisis and the problems which Ukraine is facing as potential opportunity, including for the Polish business and the Polish people to go over there and actually try to rebuild Ukraine new, not Soviet, with better quality products. And of course, we also hope for the tech and for the innovations to burst in and build houses faster.
Thank you very much, Victoria.
Thank you, guys.
And now we will have a break, and after that will be the lightning speakers. So every lightning speakers will have 100% discount on 1 year of JetBrains license. So if you have something to share with us, you will have 5 minutes after the break. And now please enjoy pizza and beer over there.